All right, so what terrible stuff are we gonna say about Jesse while he's gone? Uh, no, nothing terrible about Jesse. He's actually like the nicest man in the world, but don't ever tell him I said that. So we're gonna watch this game. I have no idea what they're playing. I don't know what Jesse's list is. It looks like, I guess, Waves on the bottom here. Can I? Yeah, I can hover over. Playing Noah. Jesse's playing Aradel. I've been on a huge Aradel kick. I think Aradel's dope. I I was like, I'm like, Aradel's just a worse Odette. And I think she is a worse Odette because Odette is the best, but she's not like a ton worse. She's like a tiny percentage worse. Um, and she's, a ginge. There's power in the redhead. All right. And uh, so the Noah deck is on 5 ceremonial dice. Obviously, both decks heavy on nature because nature is great. And the Aradel deck definitely wants nature because Water Blast is an excellent ability. Um, Waves gets to go first after rolling 2 base. I guess Jesse chose to let him go first. This must be a Gilder. Yep. Summon Gilder. Summon Gilder. All right. Bunch of little gold mouse action here. Both I think are good. Obviously, I've been playing like the 1 charm dice Aradel just for the Gilder a lot. So many of the good threats now have 3 toughness, so you need um, the Water Blast plus the Gilder. Tell that to Rin. Is Rin a redhead? I think Rin's awesome. All right, Jesse has meditated and out of the mist. There's a card I think is cool. I'm not sure it's actually good, but it's cool. It's a side action. It costs 2 power dice to like fire off 2 damage usually. I don't know. We got Dread Wraith on the Noah side. Well, now we know he has so many ceremonial dice. And a Frostback Bear over here. That's pretty. I mean, we knew that was coming. Come on. And a Strengthen. Okay. A lot of Strengthen lately. I've seen just a ton of people talking about it, a ton of people playing it. Maybe it's better than I think it is. Just feels so bad to spend 2 dice on this card to start. So we summon a bear. Noah responds with a 1/6. Man, this card got a lot worse when you couldn't multi-block. I never even played it in that mode in 1.0. So Jesse attacks with bear. That's kind of interesting. I guess he just like attacked while I could get through. I think that's kind of bold when I guess maybe he'll make some more blockers, but like this bear's just gonna die. All right, so we have strengthened the Dread Wraith. I assume this will be an Aradel block or guard, I guess. Oh, he's just going to the Aradel face. All right, so far we have had 2 summons smash past each other like ships in the night. Uh, Obviously, many more dice were invested in the 3 damage on Aradel than the 2 damage on Noah, but I mean, Jesse's not that far ahead in dice right now. So this is a false demon. That's another card that I have grown on, but I'm not sure it's super great. Uh, there's our first mouse of the day. Shoots that bear. What is up with this mouse? Like, he has like a paintbrush. All right, and then a blue Jaguar book. So blue Jaguar is a card that I go back and forth on, where it seems expensive for a 1/2, but its ability is very strong. Uh, and in a match against Dread Wraith, it's going to be very important. It's also like good against Gilder, I suppose. and a Cut the Strings. Okay, so this is a card that Jesse was playing recently, and it's 2 dice, deal 2 damage to unit control. If you do, you may discard target alteration spell. So that's a very powerful effect because there aren't a lot of universal alteration kills. I think it's just Dispel. Um, Polarity Mage only hits your guys. So it is an interesting effect. And it's a combo with Dreadwraith because you get to like pump its power by damaging it. Jesse has made his own gold mouse and pinged the other gold mouse. This is some mouse on mouse violence. We still haven't seen a water blast. Jesse meditates to a frog. Hey Leonard, glad to have you here. We just talked about your deck. I think it's interesting. Also, do you just like always play Leo because you're Leonard? Is that like a thing? It's okay if it is. Well, you can watch the VOD, Leo. From now on, I'm gonna imagine you as shirtless with a tiger print shawl. I hope that's okay, since we've never met. Um, so Jesse made his Jaguar and frogged the Gilder away. Attacked for 1. So sounds perfect. Yeah. Like I was saying, Jaguar is interesting to me. It's obviously its text is extremely powerful. I just a 1/2 for 2 dice, man. It's so good sometimes, and against other things, um, it's just like a worse guy than any other guy. Oh yeah, Leonard. I totally agree. I've been playing a lot of Leonard Leo recently, um, just because I think Finch is good because it sounds like I mean we're going to this meta where in our tournament there's 5 heralds, so the unit guard is less good, but just the like 1 dice unit guard is very strong, and like you said, it has this backdoor win condition. All right, so we had an Ironworker in play, which is a cool card. I've seen a ton of Ironworkers in these Ashteki tournaments, and it got water blasted because Aradel is really good. And then they pass back and forth. Oh no, they didn't pass. They passed back and forth, but Jesse side actioned the 2 shadows, putting him in a pretty overwhelming board position here. But so he's sending the squad at the Noah. I think I would have attacked with Bear, but I think I would have left the Jaguar back there. Just because you know he's going to make a 1/6, and I know you'll get to make another Jaguar, but the 1 damage on Noah, like, is probably going to come at some time in this turn anyway because of the Jaguar's own ability. It would just give you the option to actually use the power on the guy you summon instead of not. But Jesse chose to just get in there for 6, and then we had a Dreadwraith summoned and a Noah activation to kill the Bear Book. So yeah, that might have been a bigger misplay by Jesse than I was considering because I think you kind of need to, if you're first, make your bear, just so that doesn't happen. Obviously, one advantage of the 4-book Aradel is that you have additional guys to make. So he'll have other threats this turn, but the Frostback Bear is like his main win condition, right? He makes another Gilder. What's he going to do? He's just going to choose not to ping something? Or do you have to ping something? No, you don't have to. Oh, he did it anyway. He put a damage on the Dreadwraith. That seems weird. I'm not sure I would have done that. Maybe he has a plan. Oh, I guess he has a ceremonial dice, so maybe he has a fester. I'm not sure. Can I look at their discard pile? Yeah. So in Jesse's discard pile, we have a fadeaway, Mist Typhoon, Massive Growth. Um, Massive Growth is big in Ashteki, just because the pool is smaller. I think it's less good in this tournament than it was even in the tournament before. But why the hell did he ping his own Frostback bear? Wait, oh, that was the Anchornaut. I apologize, chat. That was not the Gilder. He just played Anchornaut and did damage to Frostback bear. Presumably, this frog will eat that bear later. I don't think Jesse has any way to heal it. The milling the massive growth there is probably good. Like massive growth is essentially a dead draw into the cut the strings board. I guess you spend 2 dice to make your opponent spend 2 dice. Okay, so another Gilder ate the Frostback bear. It wasn't the frog, but it was a mouse. And now we're in this weird creature stalemate, where I bet Jesse wishes he had an untapped Jaguar. All right, so we're getting a Gilder ping, and the one problem with Ashteki is that it always like stops the game when you would have a reaction. So now we know that there's a card in Wave's hand that triggers off of uh, unit death. I would assume a Final Cry and a Hammer Knight. Okay, well now there's real threats in play. Yeah, this is bad news for Noah. Yeah, Cam, I think Leo's cool. I think he has the baseline stats of everybody: 6 battlefield, 3 spell board. Um, and I'm not a big fan of Anguish as a card, but I think that make a unit for 1 dice for free, even if that unit is kind of crappy, is very, very good. Like when you don't have to spend any time doing it because it's not a book and it's not a card in your hand, like it's just always there, just seems really good. Um, so I'm on board on the Leo train. Okay, so we have a strengthen on the. Oh, okay. Maybe it doesn't have a final cry. Maybe it stops like that when the inheritance is triggered. That'd be interesting. Obviously, the inheritance triggered there. Man, unit guards are really good. Like, right, Mad. That's how like Magic Arena works, and that's how Magic Online works, and I assume that's how a lot of the and um, I guess Magic Arena and Magic Online have it set the best where you have the option to always do that, and you have the option to turn that off so it'll go fast when you want it to go fast. Um, Jesse plays a fadeaway on that uh, Dread Wraith. Seems fine. Um, but I think in that time I might have jumped the gun, and I think it was just the inheritance triggering that caused the stop in the game. Okay, meditates a close combat away. To make a snake. What is snake? Oh, Golden Veil. So Jesse tried to activate Aradel ability. I got Golden Veiled. Um, and he smashes into Dread Wraith anyway. Yeah, this is an unfortunate spot. You like have to take 3 on the Noah. Otherwise, you just lose your whole board, I think. Maybe he doesn't care about his Dread Wraith very much. I mean, the Anchornaut's doing absolutely nothing. It did its 1 damage, which was fine, but okay, so he chooses just to gain the life and sack that Dread Wraith. Oh, I see. So he played that's funny. I missed this and I apologize, chat. He played that fadeaway on his guy, and the fadeaway cut the strings. Now there's a deep freeze on this Hammer Knight. Jaguar attacks for 1. Deep freeze is a card I've never played. It's always been interesting to me because it seems like you can really leverage it, especially now with the time dice, um, to like keep a dude locked down for a long time. But it's kind of like stasis where like inevitably it'll fall off and then you're kind of SOL. Like the card, I guess this is 1 class dice, so that's pretty cheap. But like the card Steady Gaze just happened. Oh, I see. He attacked with Gilder, so he'd have an extra step to remove the freeze counters. That was a good play. So see that was just what I was talking about on that deep freeze. Like if you were here on Tuesday and you heard me talking about the card Stasis, it seems very similar to that, where it takes an amount of time from your opponent and you have to use that time. So like the like close to the end of round Stasis or close to the end of round deep freeze is a lot less good. Because like what Jesse just did, he just took some random crappy actions and killed it. So we had a make a Dread Wraith, kill the Bear Book, which I assume is his like opener every time he's top around. Jesse is just smashing face with the team. I still think this is a little aggressive, but how much life does Noah have? 16. Oh, so he's just like very close to dead. Uh, yeah, Cam, I agree. That obviously they're different cards, but it seems like both of them require some amount of pressure to be good. Because even if you go top around on the deep freeze, uh, and they still have their guy deep frozen, you still have to apply pressure to get under it, or they're just gonna like uh, take their side actions off. All right, so we had a Molten Gold. What did the Molten Gold do? Oh, he just meditated a bunch of Molten Golds, and then Jesse played Molten Gold. Oh, and then Jesse played second Molten Gold. Okay, well, that was a quick game. Yeah, I'm not even sure it was necessary for Jesse to play that last turn that way. Uh, but obviously it got the job done. I'm not sure there was a lot that this Noah deck could do because he just couldn't keep his 1/6s in play, and that's so much of his turn every round. But hopefully they'll jump back in here in a second and we can talk about the match a little more. I have found that these Ashteki games for me anyway. I know Jesse has had the opposite experience. Are quicker for me than the tabletop simulator games. I think that the interface is just smoother. So again, I can't say enough good stuff about the guys that are working on this. It's a great program. Uh, Got to fix that um, manual alterations thing because I wanted to put a alteration in play in manual mode, and instead it made a 40/40 token of my massive growth as a unit in play. But those are obviously nitpicky things because ultimately we would want to get to a place where manual mode is not necessary. But it was a cool game. Cut the Strings is a really interesting card. So this was a card that I considered playing a lot. Yeah, Leonard, is a 40/40 for nature class and a basic. Um, uh, Cut the Strings is a card that I've considered recently a lot because we had so many like one of root armors in the last tournament. And so I had like, if you watch me on Tuesday playing the Fallen list, in one of the versions I had to cut the strings because I think that, you know, Fallen doesn't care about its guys, it's on color, like, but then I realized that like Fallen specifically don't care about root armor at all. And having the card outmatch made the Fallen really good. Like it just didn't care about the root armor at all. So I cut it. I cut the strings. Um, but I definitely see like it's obviously a combo with Dread Wraith because he gets bigger when you cut him. Um, and in yeah, man, one of Dispel is really good. That's like a mind game against your opponent. I guess so is the cut the strings because you wouldn't first five it always. Where like in a tournament like ours where you have the deck list, you know if they have the option to first five a root armor. Um, in a regular tournament, you just have a good idea of what they're doing based on their dice and their Phoenixborn. And if it's like the AIL, you have a good idea of what your opponents tend to play. So you can kind of like mind games them with the one of Dispel. Uh, there's a Dispel in my list for this season. Wait, I think so? I don't remember. Maybe I took it out. You guys can fact check me. It might be fake news. Um, but it seems like this match was heavily favored for the Aradel just because it made so many more units. Like the 4-book Aradel has that width um, width of books. So like in a normal game against some of the decks we looked at that are small on books, the Noah going first and killing your book is very powerful. But in this game where Jesse has two other reasonable guys that he can make, the Noah killing the Frostback Bear, sure, it gets the best one, but it's not like Jesse's out of stuff to do.
Hey guys, I'm back.
Hi, Jesse. We were just smack talking you.
You're smack talking me. Did I play bad?
I assume that you're a cheater because you won.
Why?
Because you won.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Like, did you
Fair
see
enough.
the title of the stream? Because
No, I didn't.
oh well, it says Jesse loses later to someone that's not me. Um, so
Yeah,
you really ruined it for everyone.
I'm
Uh,
sorry.
no, it was an interesting game. There were a lot of interesting cards in Waves' deck, and it just seemed like what I was literally just getting done saying when you came on was that one of the things that Noah can do is pressure your ability to summon units because of his Phoenixborn ability, but specific to this matchup where you have two additional books of like real threats, it doesn't matter near as much. Like it sucks that it killed your Frostback, which is the best one, but you still have the fallback of like other couple guys to make up the difference.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
And
four by Garadel is a good list. That's for sure.
yep, and Yeah, and there were a couple lines that I disagreed with, and if you go back and watch the VOD, you can listen to my ramblings. But
Okay.
for the most part, it seemed like you both played really tight, and
Yeah, I just felt like I was kind of I didn't know what kind of Noah deck he was going to play right at first, and so one of the first five decisions for me is like obviously my four books are my first five, right? So I only have a flex slot of the fifth card, and it was either I was debating on Mist Typhoon because I thought, well, if we're like in a Noah like weenie, like if this is a Mist Spirits like Mist Spirits and Wolves, right? Then I'm going to want to have like a Mist Typhoon to sweep the board. And I
right,
also
which
didn't
is
want to let
obviously
him go.
great against Wolf.
Right. And I just didn't want him to go second, right? So like I didn't want him to end up being able to establish a board presence and then get like two big swings on me somehow. And so, but I ultimately gambled on like looking at his dice spread. I thought he had a very good chance that he was probably playing like a Root Armored Hammer Knight turn one, just with four nature dice and five ceremonial. I was like, okay, well, Root Armored Hammer Knight's a real threat and something I have to be worried about. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to first five a two shadows, and that paid obviously huge dividends for me in
Yeah,
both going second and having that card in my first five.
yeah. The only things you did that I didn't agree with, and it was marginal, was top of round two you attacked instead of making a Frostback bear. I think I would have made bear facing the Noah,
Yeah,
because he
I
tapped
think
your
that's a,
book down.
I think that's a very good point. I was
Um,
sitting on a hammer knight. That's what my debate was.
right. Ultimately, it didn't matter because you had the Hammer Knight. Because
Yeah,
you didn't even activate many of your other books that turn. But the the other thing was, um, and you still came out on top in a dice trade, I guess. But you like played the fadeaway into the cut the strings on board,
yeah, I did
and
that because I wanted him to deal three damage because I knew it opened up. Like I knew he was holding a golden veil. Like I had meditated into the ability to remove golden veil for the fadeaway play, and I knew that he would med right back into it, and I couldn't deal with like the double meditation of that dice to get my two shadows off that I had in hand as well. And so, like my debate was, okay, do I play the fadeaway into the wraith and force him to remove the fadeaway with cut the strings, which then puts him in hammer knight range, which allows me to overkill the other unit on board, so he doesn't keep a unit on board at
yeah, I
all.
mean, right.
That was my
That's
line thought.
I think that banking on the attack of Hammer Knight is leaves you the most open to getting wrecked, because I think
Sure.
you have it unlocked in a lot of different ways, but because he had the Noah block open at that time, like the Noah guard,
Mm-hmm.
and I was talking about that on the stream when it happened. Like I would at first I was like, oh, this is an auto block because uh, you don't want to lose your 1/6 and your 0/1, but then I realized the 0/1 just was doing absolutely nothing
Right.
because it had no power and you had two Jaguars in play, so it couldn't even chump block. Um, so that didn't matter. And so I guess Waves made the decision that his 3 points of life were worth more than
Yeah, that's
the
that's what he said.
remaining
He's
of
like,
his. Uh,
and that's what he said to me. He said that I don't think I can take this attack. That's what he told me when we
yeah,
were playing. He goes, I just don't think I can take this three damage because the way I had the numbers worked out was if he took the 3 points of damage, we go top around double Jaguar Hammer Knight attack because I still have the Gilder up to protect the Hammer Knight. Um, or I can just take the attack on Aradel here
yeah.
even.
The Gilder was insane against him because he was just
Yeah,
like one tall. So the unit
right.
guard was just so good.
Yeah.
Um, it
So I was just able to like do the math and I had the Molten Gold in hand last round and I just didn't play it because it didn't seem like the right time to play it and um, so then I was like okay well if he takes and blocks I guess I still go he goes into top of round makes another Dread Wraith but I just have like five more removal spells in my list so I'm good I think I can still fight my way through it and I
right,
have another
and at
hand I
that
can
point
play
you
this
just
round.
don't even care if it attacks you. Like
Right,
even if he made it into
absolutely.
like a 4 or 5 power guy, which would take a lot of work. I guess not a ton of work, but like some amount of work and time. Like you just don't care because you're racing him. Like you have just as much
Right,
power on the board already, and he can't block it.
right.
So unless he can also like remove your chump blocker, and somehow like get big enough that he's bigger than your squad, like I think you were pretty good.
Yeah.
It just looked like a mismatch of decks in this
Yeah.
situation.
I just think to your point and to Cam's point, he's mentioned, that four book Aradel puts a lot of pressure on the board, and there's definitely, that's true. Like it's just there are very few decks that can run with that. And he goes,
Oh,
I had
okay.
three
So
redirect and D3 to try to counter race. Yeah.
yeah, the redirect obviously being very good with the Dreadwraith.
Yep.
Um,
I like redirect a ton with Dreadwraith. And I don't know if that's what he had in his last grouping there with that. I didn't know if we had another Golden Veil or what, but um, yeah, Waves. I think you would do really well if you had a Hypnotize in this list, just to be able to, with all the other ways that you can make the Dreadwraith big, like hypnotizing gives you an opportunity to just bypass my unit guard and deal damage that probably does allow you to win the race with Dreadwraith. If you're going to go that route. So, but yeah. I mean, I don't think there was any major misplays on either side. It was kind of funny that we both played 4 Molten Golds there in the game. Like it was just
did he
uh,
meditated his was the you played yours and he meditated his.
there's 4. If you look at the history though, there's 4 Molten Golds that were played. He played
Right,
2.
but
I
if you
played
read
2.
the text, it says Waves meditates. Oh wait,
No.
amplify. Sorry, I lied. Yeah, you did
Yeah.
just.
We both just like countered swing double Molten Gold in the game.
All right. Well, whatever. I
Yeah,
guess.
like Waves has got a lot of different options with that. I agree. Like Gildering, like and pinging your own Dread Wraith isn't a bad play at all, especially where you can turn the Wraith into a 4/5 with the Strengthen. So, but I think the deck is a cool idea for sure. It just needs something like where your opponent has a more powerful board that you can pressure. Because if you're playing the redirects, I think you could probably go a little deeper into that charm side for redirect and for golden veils, but also for you know, uh, shoot, my brain
I
stopped
like
working
how this
here.
game has like a random like Game of Thrones thing, like uh Khal Drogo like kills Daenerys' brother by just like dumping molten gold on his head. But it's
Yeah,
it, it's
and
it's
it's probably all pre GOT as well, right? Probably not
well, it's
actually.
not pre the book. It
Sure.
probably pre the show. But
Yeah.
so there's and the Gilder is kind of like that too. Like for some reason the little mouse like pokes you with his hot gold paintbrush or whatever.
Fire stick, his torch.
is is it a torch? It looks like a
I think it's a
paintbrush,
torch.
dude.
I think it's a torch. It is. It does have like a paintbrush, like
Yeah,
a
because
gold.
because
He
like
paints gold. He's a gilder.
gilding something is to like attach gold to it, right? Like when you see
Yeah.
like a gilded like leather bound book or whatever, they like take gold flake and rub it into the book.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so that's like what he's doing with his stupid little paintbrush, but I don't know why it
It,
hurts you. Like
it's definitely a paintbrush lettering for sure, man. That's so funny. Well, that's why he's got 0 attack, dude. He doesn't do anything. He just.
but he
I
his summon like just like calling him into the room, he's like, "Whoops, I guess I stabbed you with this molten hot gold." Like I I don't know.
It's true. It's true. So, but I mean, like Aradel's just such a versatile PB, right? Like Water
Yeah.
Blast is so versatile, and
She's
you
very
know,
good. She's much better than I thought she was at the beginning of the game. And I think is obviously very strong. I mean, I'm playing her in our tournament, so
sure. You are the
I
lone Aradel in our tournament for sure.
right, which
We do.
I think is interesting. Like I didn't expect her to be a huge showing, but more than one seemed uh,
Well, especially because I think
probable.
we had 2 or 3, right? We had 2 or
We
3
had several
in
in season one.
yeah, for sure. So, but yeah, I mean, Waves I think played great. I mean, he had. I like the cheeky like cut the strings to knock a root armor off a Hammer Knight and buff your like I think that's really strong. Um,
Yeah, I in the coverage I talked about like, and we talked about dispel as well at that time with the chat.
I don't think Dispel's in this
It's
tournament though because of the
it's not, but just
yeah
in general for the game, I was just saying, there are not many things that interact with alterations, and even one of the three original ones, because I think it's only cut the strings, dispel, and polarity mage. Polarity mage doesn't hit all of them.
No,
Um,
because it only hits your own.
right, so you can't like kill your opponent's massive growth or whatever. So you only have dispel and cut the strings. So just it's a unique effect because and Wave says that he thinks dispel is in
Yeah,
the meta,
I'm going to
but
pull up the pre-con deck really quick here and see. Yeah, you're right, Waves. It is in Dispel is in Leo.
but I mean, obviously dispel's a lot worse than cut the strings, I think,
Yes,
in this kind of deck. The Matt was saying he liked, or Leonard, I don't remember who up the chat was saying that they liked the one of dispel to first five, and I especially after last tournament where we had a bunch of first five root armors and obviously massive growth, like having the one of dispel was good. So one of cut the strings is a very similar thing. Um,
absolutely.
Now we have blink as well that uh, essentially knocks off all alterations.
Yes, Blink is
Um,
also very good at that. Yeah, I agree with Cam. Cam saying that
but
Dispel
yeah,
with time
dispel.
and see more play, lose status tokens off the standard bearer. Yeah, I think
The
that's a
status
really
token mode of dispel um, is also an interesting
yeah.
aspect.
I like Dispel against the Fallen books as well. Mad Magician says Dispel is sick versus Fallen book too. I like that as also. I think you just want like if you think Fallen is an issue, and to be fair, we haven't seen a Fallen deck really rise to the top yet. So if a Fallen deck can't rise to the top, then it sort of limits the cards you would play to answer Fallen. But like Seal is a great card if you think you're up against Fallen, right? You just seal them off for a turn, and I think they're just dead. Like because Fallen does not gain a ton of tempo if they can't make
Right.
tokens that can't
It
cast
needs to make
Fallen.
a bunch of one ones to get anywhere.
Right, absolutely. So,
But yeah, the
but
status token version of dispel is very interesting because there aren't a lot of effects. Well, first off, there are more now, but not very many effects that just like increase the status counters. There's way less effects that decrease the status counters. So
right,
again, it just whether or not it's a great card, it falls into this niche where it's like your only option if that's the kind of thing you want to do.
right.
So you know, like if that Time Hopper deck, that Jericho deck we talked about earlier on stream becomes good, maybe that mode of dispel will be something we'll see more often.
Yeah, I mean, I
Because it
think those are the
obviously
kinds of
has
things.
uses.
Absolutely, and those are just the kind of things we'll have to see as the meta settles, we'll see some of these things happen, right? Like we'll see like some of these cards whether they actually roll into their own essentially or come into their own happen will just be a product of the overall meta and how it
Right.
develops, right?
The
So
niche cards like that definitely are meta dependent. Like
correct. Like those are
it's
the
essentially what
if
I
we
would
had
call a sideboard card.
yeah, that's what I
Uh,
was just about to say. I'm on the same page with you. If we had sideboards, this is the kind of card I'd stick in my sideboard all day long for matchups, right?
yeah.
Like, because I'd go, oh, okay, game one, I realize you're playing a bunch of status tokens, so cool. I'm going to back out the status tokens with the spell. Or, I know you're playing root armor, and I want a reasonable way to just get rid of that root armor because I can fight your knight in regular ways after that. And then the spell is a great tech card for that. And in Ashes, we get that with the first five decision and that kind of works in a quasi sideboard way, but it's a little more punishing because it does take a main board slot for sort of your regular proactive plan. So it's hard to include more than like one copy of Dispel or more than one
Right.
copy of
I
Seal.
think one is the correct number.
Right.